Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. Only two more to go, Aaron. We're deep into the group previews now. Got the hang of it at long last. To everyone that's joined us for the previous shows, thank you so much. We hope everyone is following us at UCL Fantasy Pod on Twitter and at the main event Champions League Fantasy Podcast on YouTube and Spotify. That's where you can catch us. Feel free to follow us, send us a message, anything you like. Tell us we're really bad at podcasts. We can take it well. Aaron, I've got a fun group here with regards to big hitters, Messi versus Ronaldo, and some potential whipping boys. So that's our job to work through today. Starting with Mr. Lionel Messi and Barcelona. So Barcelona have had a fairly decent start of the season. They've went through a transitional period in terms of some transfers. So they've got rid of Suarez, Artur, Rakitic, Semedo, Vidal, and they brought in Pjanic, Trincao, who's a right winger, Serginho Dest, right back, and Coutinho's back from loan. So it seems to be very like for like, although I don't think they found a replacement for Suarez. So we'll see how that works out for them. They've started the season well, like I said. They've won 3 of their opening 4 games and drew the most recent one 1-1. But that was with Sevilla, another Champions League team. So at least that was, relative opponent, and that's something that we should look at. But there was a little caveat in there as well. So with a 1-0 win, a 4-0 win, and a 3-0 win for the first 3 games, it was really smooth sailing. First things first, lots of people might have noticed Neto has started the first 4 games in goal. The issue here is that Ter Stegen is injured, so that's why he's not been playing. It's not necessarily that Neto is first choice. I believe Ter Stegen will be back in training before the first Champions League game. Whether they be deemed fit is a different thing entirely. And I think they've got Ferencvaros first, I think. So that he might not be risked, which is something that we've mentioned in the previous podcast, looking at a low-priced goalkeeper, because Neto might actually be a good choice for the first game. See how everyone does, see how everyone's playing. And then maybe that could be one of your transfers for game week 2 with your 2 free transfers. Once you've got a game's worth of Champions League data from the other teams, or maybe someone has a favourable fixture, you could then just quickly get that rotation in and then just leave that goalkeeper as a bit of a set and forget. I think Neto's got a great fixture and he could start, but in terms of having him in long term, I wouldn't recommend it, because I imagine Ter Stegen will be back, and he's, in my opinion, top 3 goalkeepers in the world with Alisson and Oblak. Despite the signing of Serginho Dest, Roberto has played the first 4 games of the season. I appreciate Dest hadn't actually been there for the first few, but Roberto still held that spot. He's also got a goal in those first 4 games. Barcelona seem pretty set at the back. It's Roberto, Piqué, Longley, and Alba. The 1-1 draw with Sevilla, Longley had been sent off in the previous game, I believe, so he didn't play. Araujo started that game, who came from Barcelona's academy. So he looks maybe like he could be the first choice backup centre-back, but Umtiti is injured. He's lacking fitness, so it might just be because of that. The big news is Jordi Alba. So in his first 4 starts, has 3 assists and is now injured. He got injured, picked up a muscle injury on October the 5th, and we don't know how long he's out for. So as a premium defender, I would avoid and keep an eye on him. Once he's back in, if he keeps up this form, then he's a real option in a team that's kept 3 clean sheets out of 4 games. The one time they have conceded was because they played a youth system centre-back, and then he's got 3 assists. It's a bit of a no-brainer. De Jong and Busquets have played holding midfield in every game, whether that's been the 4-3-3 formation that they played in 2 games or the 4-2-3-1 that they played in 2 games. Beyond that, they've messed around with the forwards and their positioning. Starting-wise, it's always been the same 4. It's Coutinho, Messi, Griezmann, and Fati. But it looks like the manager hasn't grasped what the best formation to play them in is. So in the first game, he had Griezmann up top with Messi and Fati either side. Griezmann got the only goal of the game. Then he had Messi up front in the second game, who scored a penalty and got an assist. Fati out wide got 2 goals and an assist. And Coutinho out wide got an assist. Griezmann playing just off Messi didn't get anything. Then in the following game, Messi again played up front, got 2 assists but no goal, which when you're paying 12 million, you want goals. Fati did get another goal playing out wide, as did Coutinho got an assist. And then in the 1-1 draw with Sevilla, which is probably the most sort of representable of Champions League games, Coutinho got the goal. Inti actually played in a midfield 3 with Busquets and De Jong. So it's hard to predict where they're going to play, and where they play seems to matter. What I'm sort of leaning towards at the minute is an Ansu Fati for 8 million, because out of those first 4 games, he has the most returns with 3 goals and 1 assist. Coutinho has 1 goal, 2 assists. Messi has 1 goal, 3 assists. Griezmann has a goal. If you're looking at it, that sort of thing. I think I've got Messi in my team at the minute. 12 million. He might come out for Ronaldo. I want to see what you say about Juventus, to be honest, but I'll probably keep him in for the first fixture. Maybe sort of rotate Messi and Ronaldo for when they play this team. But Fati seems really good at 8 million. Alba, as we said, 6 million, premium, injured, stay away for now. And our Araujo is probably a trap at 4 million. I wouldn't go for him. It was just a case of Longley got sent off. Lots of people do like going for De Jong. Usually really highly picked in the game. For me, just sits in the middle of nowhere. Like he's a fantastic player, but statistically, is he a better option than 5.5 million Jorginho, who takes penalties, for example? He's a better player than Jorginho, but is he a better fantasy asset? And we've picked up on quite a few players around that mark. Do I trust De Jong to get an attack in return, or a wealth of interception points, particularly against some of these teams? Or would I prefer to spend my money elsewhere? Gio Reyna, 6.5 million. So I'd probably avoid those midfielders just out of, there being better options elsewhere, really.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm very interested in getting Ansu Fati as well. I think he'll be really good he might provide really good value depending on if he plays or not. And so it'll be interesting.
He's a midfielder on the game. He's a midfielder, which is a good thing.
And he's in form, and he looked good for Spain the other day. So
yeah,
he looks really good. So on Dynamo Kiev, they have played 9 games so far, 9 competitive games, currently unbeaten so far. So well done to them, including going through the Champions League qualification. They beat Ghent. I think that's how you pronounce it. And they seem to be really well organized, quite solid defense. They've not conceded more than 2 goals, and they've actually kept, just at a quick glance, 50% clean sheets. So they've either conceded 1 or 0. So they seem to be quite solid and seem to be well organized at home. So there might be, especially for a team like Juventus, if they're not firing on all cylinders, could be a difficult team to break down. I don't think it'll be like a whipping boy performance, but I don't see them winning, if that makes sense. It'll be kind of like a 1-0 or a 2-0, 2-1 type of performance. So yeah, in terms of some players for them, again, it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Zenit in the previous podcast, where you're not really going to go for any of these players because the starting players are all rated around the same price as premium teams, really. So their most expensive player is 7.5, a midfielder, and there's so many other players around that price point that you could go to. And if you're not getting the best player from this team, I don't know why you would invest much in it. Like, why would you go for like the third choice midfielder to try and save 1 million? Like, they're not going to be a team that's going to do well in 4 of these games. Like 4 of the group stage games. They might do well against Ferenc Varakos or whatever they're called.
Whatever they're called.
They might do well against them, but do you really want to be spending 7 million on a player that's only going to potentially be good 2 games out of 6?
Yeah.
So that's my viewpoint.
Yeah, the player, that I sort of picked up on, Sirota is a £4 million defender, but he seems to have played the league games, not the Champions League qualifiers. So again, potential trap. Rodriguez is a £4.5 million defender. I mean, he's taken a penalty. That's all I can see. But the standout player is their £6.5 million forward, Supriya. He has in the last 4 games 2 goals and 2 assists. He got a goal in the first leg of the Champions League qualifier, and he got an assist in the second leg. So if you're looking for a really, really affordable striker that starts so that you can, again, strengthen the rest of your team, but you don't want to go super low or take a risk, this player isn't a risk. He's played the last 4 games, irrespective of rotation or whatever else, and he's returned in every game. It's just, playing against Juventus and Barcelona, how likely is that to happen there? But you'll get your 2 points if that's what you're after.
Mm-hmm.
And he might, and if someone's going to do something, it looks like it will be him. The only thing, like I said earlier, is that Rodriguez has taken a penalty and De Pena has taken a penalty. And Shaparenko has taken a penalty. So they've had 3 penalties in the last 4 games. They've had 3 different takers. They've had 4 penalties. Verbic has took a penalty and missed one. So they don't have a set penalty taker. I don't know if it's who wins it takes it.
They're getting ready to penalty shootouts, aren't they? They're being a bit optimistic.
Yeah, planning. Verbic isn't on any then. So I don't really know who would. I don't know if they're just on rotation. Is it whoever wins it gets it? I'm not too sure. Supriya is the only one that would even remotely interest me, but I'd rather have 3 better forwards. So I probably won't be going for any of them. But it's just people's formation, how they want to play the game, what they're looking for. 6.5 million as a forward. I personally would rather spend 4.5 million on a defender and then stick the extra 2 on a forward, something like that. To go up to a Gomez or a Zuba or someone like that around 8.5.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking.
On to Ferencváros. They've started the season all right. They've done all right. The second in their league with a game in hand, though. I'm just going to speak off the last results, starting with the oldest first. So they've got a 1-1 draw. They've then won 2-0, 2-1, 2-1, 5-0, 2-1, 6-1. Picked up a couple of draws, 3-3, 0-0, and won the most recent game 2-1. But most importantly, out of those fixtures, we're looking at 4. So for this team, I've not picked the last 4 fixtures to get my data from. I've looked at the 4 Champions League games to get my data from. So first of all, they've got a 2-1 win. Then they've got another 2-1 win. And then they drew both games to qualify 3-3 and 0-0, but they went through on away goals. Looking at their team, we've got I don't really want to go through all of their team because it's pretty pointless. Carrington's the penalty taker. That's one thing that I saw. Uzini scored a couple of goals out of those 4 games. And then sort of looking through, Blazic has played all the games, so he's 4.5 million as a defender. Like, okay. And Botka. So Botka has got 2 assists out of those games, and he's also 4.5 million. I think you've got to be an absolute nut job to try and go for a defensive player from this team, irrespective of the price. The only thing that they've really got going for them is that they will be playing with a lot of confidence because they haven't lost any games yet this season out of all those that are reeled off. They don't have too much of a talisman. Like I said, Uzini with a couple of goals. And Gwen's got a goal and an assist. But beyond that, there's not much to look at for them. I think for some of the lower teams who have managed to find a couple of gems, this isn't really one of them. If I'm being honest, like Carrington is overpriced for what he is. Like, are they going to get a penalty? I doubt it against the teams that they're playing. And there's not really anyone that sort of really stands out at me. They do play Uzini and Ngwen a lot. So if you were looking for a player that plays in an attacking position, you could go for those. Somalia plays every game. Carrington plays every game, who, like I said, is the penalty kick taker. Other than that, there's not much to say. Debouche looks like their starting goalkeeper. If you want to go with him, I don't know why. I don't know why you'd want to go with him. I think doing my research on this team, I was just being polite. Looking through, I was like, well, we'll try and get these. They're not the worst team. Of all the teams that we've researched, I don't think these are the worst. I think in our next podcast, we've got the Whipping Boys. These aren't the worst team to highlight, but like I say, for their league, they look great. Absolutely bossing it. Plenty clean sheets, no defeats. Looks like they can score a couple of goals. Translating that to Juventus and Barcelona, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, they play Barcelona first, and it would be interesting to see how many Barcelona players people have just for that first week. I think that's going to be a very interesting group.
I've got 2 because ultimately we need to be able to. We could only have 2 transfers. I can't just jump on everyone with a good fixture. There's got to be some sort of longevity to it. Yeah. At the minute, I have Messi and Fati in my team, taking up 20 million of my budget, the pair of them.
Ridiculous, honestly. I think you made of money.
I know.
Anyways, so Juventus, quite interesting because they have only played 2 competitive games, so the least amount of everyone. Plus, because they have been active in the transfer market, have had very different teams. And Pirlo is new to management. Yeah, he's not settled on a system yet. So I'm not going to be able to reliably tell you at this stage what he's going to exactly do against Dynamo Kiev, knowing that he plays Barcelona a week later. I think the only silver lining is that the league games in between the group stages are very winnable, and they're the 2 new promoted teams up from into the division. So Juventus won't have to try that hard, in my opinion, to win them games. I think some traps are definitely in Juventus. Chiellini, 5.5. Do not go for him. He was injured for like 80% of last year. And plus, even when he does play, he doesn't score enough to warrant 5.5. Chesney, 5.5. I think Buffon at 4.5 is quite interesting because he's going for all sort of appearance records. So could be worth trying to see how much if he's getting close to any sort of Champions League record. I doubt it though, because Casillas is quite ahead of him. One of the defenders I was quite interested in is De Ligt, 5 million, and he's quite a goal scoring centre back. So he's someone who maybe consider looking at the defense in this team.
Injured until November.
So don't go for De Ligt.
Injured until mid-November, De Ligt. He's been injured since August. He didn't start either of the previous 2 games.
Although
either.
Bonucci's scored already.
Yeah, Bonucci scored. He's the one of the defenders. Danilo's all right. He's got an assist, but Bonucci's the one. If you're going to go for a defender,
I would say Alexandro more
cheaper
so.
as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, is Alexandro's fit? I believe I would play him.
Alexandro did his hammy in, so he did his hamstring in towards the end of September. So he is not playing. He hasn't played any of the games either. We've got
yes. So Cuadrado. Surprisingly, I would have thought he would. He played as a right back all of last year, so it baffles me that he didn't get placed as a defender. Yes, we know his natural position is a right winger, but he's played as a right back all of last year. I wonder how long it takes for Ashley Young and stuff to be put from a winger to a fullback. And anyways, some of the positions are way off. It's quite hard.
Kimmich, Gomez. There's quite a few.
They have signed a few midfielders. They've got Artur from Barcelona. They got Weston McKennie for the American fans. He's played the first 2 games. You've got, however, Bentancur. He is one of their most solid players. Rabiot was red carded in the last game. He seems to be coming into his own. But one of the new signings that I wanted to bring up, and I excuse the pronunciation, Kulusevski. He played as a striker in the first game ahead of Dybala and Morata. I don't think they had Morata then, but he played as a striker and then he played as a right winger. So he seems to be someone who has Pirlo's trust already. And he seemed to be quite good on the ball. And what's interesting as well is that they have 2 other right wingers, which is why it surprised me that he was playing instantly. So you've got Bernardeschi, who kind of a squad player for Juventus.
And injured.
Yeah, Juventus. When I was looking
They're all injured.
Yeah, I know. When I was looking at, I wasn't saying get Bernardeschi, by the way. I was saying that he's a squad player.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. One thing that baffles me about this team, though, Ramsey being the most expensive midfielder. Yeah, don't. Just don't.
Just don't do it. I think we all know well enough.
Yeah, but one of the players that I think I'm quite impressed that they got him was Chiesa. He used to play for Fiorentina. He is a very good right winger. Man United were interested in signing him, but then again, who are they not interested in signing? So Chiesa, he was signed on the deadline day, straight going into an international break. So it would be interesting to see if he plays the league game before the Champions League. If not, Kulusevski is someone who you'd probably go for. And Dybala hasn't played yet this season, probably injured as well.
I haven't seen him injured. He might have been injured, but he's not injured at the minute.
He got substituted on during Roma.
Yeah.
And it just surprised me that he wasn't, because he was their best player last year by a mile. But he wasn't on the bench against Sampdoria.
Better than Ronaldo, would you say? Like,
last
year, Ronaldo not?
No, last year.
He's not human.
Last year, Dybala was their better player because Ronaldo scored a lot of his goals from penalties, and it took a while for him to get going. Dybala kind of dragged them after up to Christmas, and then Ronaldo took over. Ronaldo's famously a slow starter as well to the season, and he gets going and gets into his ridiculous form kind of November to February. So
Ronaldo's slow start the season so far has been
3
a
goals.
pathetic 3 goals and 1 assist in 2 games.
Yeah, so you cut ahead of me, but his
It's like winding
his
you up.
his slow start this year, it's one of his best starts to the season for Juventus already. He's only been there for 3 years, but he already looks fit. He was raring to go for the Nations League, hoping to beat that record. And now that he's in a group with Messi, Ronaldo's 12 million, and he's going to be very, very motivated, especially against these two teams, knowing that he's facing the same group teams that Messi's facing. That competition is alive and well.
I cannot wait. Stop it. I cannot wait.
So I'm probably going to get loads of comments going how dare he say Dybala was better? Look, we're not experts. We're just having a laugh here. But Ronaldo definitely carried the team further, especially when it came to important matches. But Dybala played such an underrated role last year that I think he was the most important player for them last year. And it'd just be interesting to see how this team gels. To be honest, the fact that they've got Dynamo Kiev and it's away in Dynamo Kiev as well, I can only see Juventus winning by maybe 1 goal.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't rush on getting this team in anyways. Probably just Ronaldo for the penalty upside. Don't rush to get Morata or Dybala in just yet, in my opinion. Cue them scoring hat tricks, and yeah, a very injured team for a squad that already had the least amount of players out of any squad.
Yeah. I think for me, I already feel like I know I'm having Messi for the first game, and then I know I'm having Ronaldo for the second. And then we'll see how they do. But if they're playing each other third game,
I thought they played each other second game.
If you had to choose,
they play each other second game.
Pardon, they're playing each other in the second game, are they? Oh, okay, that might change things then. I haven't properly looked at the fixtures yet, to be honest. That'll come once I've got my pool of players. But okay, that might change things a little bit. But if you had to choose Barcelona versus Juventus, Ronaldo versus Messi, that second game, who do you reckon would outscore who?
I think Messi still. Barcelona play a better style. I think they're a better team, whilst Ronaldo has to carry. Mind you, Messi has to carry Barcelona as well, but Ronaldo has to carry Juventus more because it's a defensive team that kind of just lets Ronaldo do what he wants, while Barcelona, now under Koeman, are looking to get Messi out. So they're starting to play Fatty more. They're starting to play Griezmann, Coutinho. But Messi, I still think, would outscore them because he has better options up front with them. Because even though the two partners are out of form, I would still rather play with Griezmann than Morata.
Yeah. I think I'll probably keep Messi then for that game anyway. So then I can use my transfers elsewhere and then I can get Ronaldo in for that third game. See how he does. Obviously, injuries could happen, but COVID could happen. So many things could happen.
It's a nice stretch of games that he has. So game week 3, 4, and 5, he plays Ferna.
Go on, son. Get it out. You can do it.
He plays that team.
Ferencvaros. I'm only presuming that's how it's pronounced myself. I could be horrifically wrong.
It's just the C and the V together that throws me off. One of them has to be silent. Anyways.
Has to be.
He plays them twice, and he plays Dynamo Kiev in match day 5, and then he could be arrested for match day 6, depending on how they go.
Yeah.
So, but that's a nice stretch. 3 games where he's a captainable player.
Aaron, group predictions, top to bottom, fire away.
Barcelona first.
Yep.
Juventus second.
Yep.
Dynamo Kiev third, and the rest of the teams fourth.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. Like totally. I think that Barcelona's upside against teams like Dynamo Kiev will be the thing. I think that's going to be the big difference more than anything else. Like you say, Juventus' style of play. But I just think against Barcelona, it could go one of two ways. It could be, I think Barcelona could give Juventus a good hiding, to be honest. But at the same time, with Ronaldo on the team and with the prospect of playing one of Europe's elite, you never bet against an Italian team to just, for once in their lives, once over the last couple of years since they've all decided to go mental attacking wise and not bother defending, to actually just go back to their roots, shut up shop, play a low block, and allow the talent and mainly the drive of Ronaldo to just do his thing, to maybe play a bit like Portugal did against Spain at the World Cup, where they sort of went into the game with no inferiority complex, but an appreciation that of the two teams, they weren't the favourites. They just had to do things that Spain weren't good at and allow Ronaldo to prove that he's the best player in the world. So I think if Juventus can wrap their head around that, then they can pull off a result against Barcelona.
No,
that being said, it's hard. It's hard to sort of gauge some of this. So I think the easiest thing to do, because a good draw, is to say who's going to have an easier time in Moscow or have Moscow come to their stadium. I think Barcelona will probably have an easier time of those sorts of fixtures.
Yeah.
But that's the penultimate group preview finished. We're done for that one. Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. We will be back with a final podcast of this group preview. Once we are done with that one, we will be inviting a couple of friends on for a podcast, probably just before the sort of deadline shuts, so that we can talk through our teams, who we've actually decided to go with, maybe a game plan if do decide to go with one. Who knows, might just wing it. So please look forward to that. But for tonight, thank you very much and take care. Bye now.